All right. Good evening, everybody. So I am super excited for this Zoom tonight. We have Amber on. Amber, I don't even know how to say your last name, but I recently connected with her because she is a fellow chicken mom. And so we have hashed out some of those things. And then I've seen her name pop up on so many things. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask her if she'll be a guest on our Zoom and just share some tips and all the things. So if you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself and just tell everybody a little bit about you, I would appreciate that.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on. And I know I'm watching our chickens out the window because, like that happens. But my name is Amber Knese. I know it's like this whole thing, right? But I've actually been in front of the business now for 8 years. I'm a presidential diamond. I actually started this. I was working as a registered nurse, and I was definitely not looking for a job like this. I was working as a clinical manager for a pediatric home care agency. And you guys, let me tell you, I was so incredibly busy. I was having to do on-call hours, anywhere from 40 to 60 hours a week. It didn't matter if a nurse didn't have or couldn't go in or called in. I would have been the person that would have to go. I remember leaving a wedding. I remember leaving a parade. Didn't matter if it was nights, evenings, weekends. One of those essential clients needed to have a nurse. And if somebody couldn't go, it was me. So that just meant a super inflexible schedule all over the place, still having to do management hours, but then field hours. And so I definitely did not have any time to do anything like this. But I'm a worker, right? Like, so I'm somebody who's like, well, I like to make money. I like to, make sure that I'm comfortable because I grew up in a very tiny little town, definitely a broken home. My mom was a single mom of 4 kiddos. And let me just say, like, it was hard. Any single mom is out there. I know that we just like celebrated Mother's Day. So shout out to you if you're a single mom. I know how hard that is. And so just watching my mom struggle from month to month and just not able to have the things in life that I wanted. I just remember always being like, man, one day, no matter what I do, I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to be in the same situation where my family has to struggle. I like long for the things that other kids had. We wanted just maybe fruit snacks. And that was like a luxury because those are the extra things. At one point, we even were living in an apartment of a horse barn. So like literally our living room had horse stalls on the same wall. And so you could hear like horses kick it. My bedroom overlooked a horse arena. And if you know anything about barns, there's a lot of bugs and animals and critters and things like that. And like at the time, I was like, well, that was kind of cool. Like if you love horses, but now I'm like, I can't believe the stuff that we had to go through, right? But my mom, the faith that we always carried, and I just knew that no matter what, I was just going to do what it took to be in a different position. And so I've always just been a worker, pushed myself, did what I needed to do. And so when I became a nurse, I was like, that's it. I'm going to have good insurance. I'm going to make good money. And like, we're going to be set, right? Except for now, I didn't have any time for anything. And so when I looked at my husband, my then boyfriend, it was like, how are we going to ever do daycare? I can't just like find somebody for my kids in the middle of a work day, in the evening, on a holiday, whatever, to have to go in. And if you're a nurse or anybody that knows a nurse, you know that it's weekends, it can be nights, it can be, it's different schedules. And so this came into my lap and I had no intention of doing anything besides like getting on that cruise. So shout out to anybody who was maybe on that first cruise. That was like my first goal. And I just wanted to get on that. But then I started seeing people like Aaron and other people like that were just absolutely killing it and like really making a business for themselves in this. And so I said, you know what? Why not me? If this can be that vehicle that I can still work because I love to work, I can still make sure that I have money for my family. Why not? And so I just went into this completely blind, didn't know anything. I've never done anything like this before. No sales experience. One tiny little stoplight, didn't have time. I was also helping do foster my nephew because my brother was going through things. And so like, let me just say, like, there was just so many things piled up, but I said, you know what? I want to have my own time. So fast forward, and this is where we are. And, now I make a full-time income from this. We've been able to build our dream home, pay off debt. We don't have to worry about the little things that happen to us. Like you guys all probably have known every time the water heater breaks, there's a hole in your car tire, something like that. Like having just an extra stream of income to be able to do that, but then be able to own your own time is just something that is so special. And I'm just so incredibly thankful. So that's a little bit about me. Here we are 8 years later and just ready for the next level. So
I love it. Well, and you, I think you said, but you have 2 boys, you know, that are busy and I'm sure in activities and all those kind of things. And so not only that, but just getting to own your own time, it's, you know, truly incredible. And I was a nurse and I was working more on the administration side. So like I was working 50 to 60 hours a week. So I totally understand that because it was, you know, the struggle can be real, or having to go up to the hospital just to be on call for different things. So let's talk a little bit because, you know, the main focus of what I wanted to kind of talk about is kind of centered around Jamaica and just how you're rallying your team around that. But I love that you brought up the first cruise because that was my very first cruise. And I honestly do not remember like the first day because I got super seasick and then also self-induced things. But so those of you that know, like, you know, and but it's so much fun. Like there was nothing like working towards that trip. So what did you do to wrap your mind around earning the cruise or Sea La Vie or now Sea La Vie 2.0? Like, what are you doing to just wrap your mind around it? What's your game plan? And then how are you rallying your team around this?
yeah, and you know, I had never, you guys, you heard a little bit about my story in a nutshell, but we didn't get to go anywhere. I'm from Minnesota. The only trip that we ever was able to take with my mom was like a road trip to the Dakotas, to Mount Rushmore, right? Like shout out to the central people in the world, like the Midwest people. But like, that was all we had. And so I had never traveled. I had never known what it felt like to be able to see the world or do those kind of things. Like, I just thought that was never going to be for me. Like, and I was like, how are all these other people doing it? Like people that would go on spring break and they would come back with the cool braids in high school and, you know, but like, here's the thing, like, ask yourself, like, what do you want to do with your life? Okay. So the fact that we have a business that we are able to get paid essentially to travel and be rewarded these things, it is something that is so special. You know, at the end of the day, life is so short. And, you know, in the last couple of years, you know, 2020 hit us so hard. My mom had a stroke. A little bit after that, she had cancer and went through that. We had lost both of my grandparents, actually all 4 of our grandparents in just a few years. And just like the ability to say, like, I was there and present, but then also to be able to go and like explore the world with them, now with my mom, different things. She's also in this business. And so she got to go on the second cruise, you know, things like that. Like, you know, so drop it in the chat. Like, have you ever been on an airplane? Have you ever been on a state? Like, have you ever like felt what that dream feels like? Or when you see on the beach pictures, like, have you ever like been able to like for a moment reflect on maybe what that would feel like or how that would maybe settle your mind or how much fun it is in the first place? Like, I love traveling. My kiddos, they are 5 and 3. They have been on airplanes more time than I can actually count. Like, we go on trips several times a year. And so when I first, you know, found out about the first cruise and Sea La Vie and the second cruise and now Sea La Vie 2.0 going to Jamaica, you know, you just have to, at the end of the day, make the decision that you're going to be there. Like, you are going to be there. It is head down. Do the actions that you need to be able to get there because you don't want to miss out, because FOMO is a real thing. I had earned the second cruise, but that's when the Zika virus came out and I was pregnant. And so I was like, well, I guess I can't do that. And I was so bummed. I was so bummed sitting on the sidelines. And I know that for myself, I will never sit on the sideline watching everybody else live out the dreams that I want. So when you are looking at your leaders or other people in this company that are going and working hard to go on those, don't count yourself out. Do what it takes to get there. Action every single day. Okay. It's 90 days. Well, actually, what are we at? It's through the end of July. And so what are you going to do every single day? Showing up for your business. I always tell my team too, like, your business, you have to have an open sign. And you can't have it closed for 2 days, 3 days, and expect people to flood right back in. If you are not consistent, then it's going to be harder to stay on track for those type of incentive cruises and things like that, because those are windows. Like you have got to meet this, right? And so here's the time. And so with my team, we've been in the beginning of every single month focusing really hard on a distributor push. Okay. So right now, what's the date today? So 15th. So now we're going to be transitioning more into products, but like, and you can start this whenever or next month or however you guys want to do this. But right now, the host to post that you do, we are a huge host to post team. So start doing all the opportunity ones, start really telling your stories, start sharing that you're trying to go to Jamaica here and you need some help. Like, who wants to go to Jamaica with you, or a friend that, share those kind of pictures so that you're starting to create that vision for other people to be able to bring them into your business. Because I don't know about you, but I've never had a job that said, hey guys, just for showing up to work and just for doing your job, we're going to head to Jamaica. Like, never has that happened. And so what a time to be able to have something like this, right? So, we've been doing distributor pushes at the beginning of the month. And then towards the end of the month, we're going to transition into doing those customers, right? Because we have those foreigner friends. We're all new as of May 1st. So if you're maybe brand new watching this, then you are here for a ride, because you're still in technically you get more than 90 days to be able to do this. But sharing, like getting those distributors in, seeing where you need them, who can you promote? Who are the people that are in this business and have not yet promoted? They need this. Where can you take them and work together and link arms with your people that you're going to run with to be able to get those rank ups? Because that's where a lot of those points are also going to come, is from those rank ups. But it's not just going to go to Jamaica. It's going to go to your paychecks. It's going to create leaders in your team. There's so many great things that can come out of this at the end over just Jamaica, right? And so then at the end of the month here, we're going to focus on more customer things. So sharing more before and after photos, sharing our own result photos, being able to talk more about what the products do and tell that story behind it. Because, sometimes like when we just blast up before and after photos, of course, those are amazing, but like, what are you doing with the products? Are you running your ADBD auto shipment also? Because listen, you're getting $200 or 200 points every single month for also doing that. Okay. So that's kind of like where we've kind of broken up the month. So that is the direction I would say everybody, like, try to figure that out, get those distributors in, and then go ahead and push in where those customers need to be.
I love it. And I love that you brought up too, sharing your own results, because I think that that's always such a good reminder for anybody at any stage of your business. Because here's the thing, like, it's amazing to share before and afters, but it's even better, and like, people start to trust you a lot more when they see that you actually take the products. That's always like one of the number one questions when I'm talking to potential distributors. They're like, well, what are your favorite products? And I can easily mouth them off because I use them consistently, right? And so that builds confidence in this business. So how are you, because I know you said you've been pushing a lot for distributors. So what are your biggest distributor enrollment tips? Maybe there's somebody that's listening tonight that maybe, they haven't signed their first one because they're brand new, or maybe they're kind of in this funk where they're like, I haven't signed anybody. What are your biggest enrollment tips as far as distributors go?
Yeah. So as far as distributors, you guys, so many people, maybe if you're not enrolling them, or maybe if you're not at the place that you want to be yet, maybe you're brand new in this business and you're like, oh, I don't know if I have a story to tell. Let me just tell you, your story, the way it is right now, is very powerful. And so start getting used to sharing that. Share why you're doing this. Like, simply that. You don't have to say like, I'm a top leader and a top income earner and all those things, because honestly, when somebody's looking at your business, they're not looking to become that. That wasn't something that I was looking at doing. I just wanted a little extra time for my family, and I didn't know that could mean all the other things. So why are you doing this? Share those small wins. Share a picture of you at the gas pump saying, I'm so glad that my business is able to cover that. Or groceries. Guys, groceries expensive. Like, for a lot of people right now, on average, families need about $500 more to live in the same way, same expenses than they did previous years. So it's not even a matter of if, it's a matter of when. People are going to be even more, and I truly do believe this, they need an extra income. They're not just looking for something like this for something fun to do. They're desperate because their family needs that income. And so share those little wins, share somebody else's story. Are you host to posting? Like, we are a massive host to posting. Like, if I always, you're always going to have to continue going, right? It's not going to be one post that's going to blow up and that's going to be the only one. You have to keep going and continue to get more leads and funnel them in. Okay. So being consistent and showing up. Would you want to join you? Okay. So I know if I maybe showed up on my social media page just once a month, people are not going to trust me. People are going to say, well, she's a little wishy-washy. How am I going to know that she's going to coach me in the right way? What kind of things were you scared of when you started? Because I know we talk to people all the time who have tons of different objections. They don't have time. They fear failure. They don't know anybody. They have a small network. So start like targeting those pain points in your post. And you don't have to have all these big fancy long posts or anything like that. Sometimes those little punch like, hey, you know what? You don't have time. Let me just tell you like how I can do this in between the nooks and crannies of my day. Hey, you know what? You're afraid of failure. Let me just tell you what, like, it's better to at least try than always wonder what if, because this has the potential to do so much with you, so do those kind of things that kind of address those. Think of the person who is on the verge of signing, and how can you target a post that's to them? Like you were having a conversation to them so you can hit exactly what they feel without saying their name, right? Because then they're like, she's talking to me. Oh, dang. Like I didn't message her. Like, here we go, So those are the kind of things like that I do when I know that I'm trying to target maybe a specific person or a certain fear of somebody's, but really, and then like the numbers have to come. Okay. So even if you're doing all the posts, you're host posting, you're doing all the things, think of your business as a deck of cards. Okay. There's 52 cards in a deck, and those aces are going to be your yes. I'm a distributor and I'm ready to go. For some of you, those aces might be right at the top. For some, they might be in the middle. For some, they're at the very bottom. And you have to go through all of those 52 cards to find those 4 aces. And so how fast can you shuffle through that deck and then get to the next deck? Because they're going to come. Those people are always going to come into your business and bless your business at the right time. But then it's up to you to go through that deck. And I'm not trying to like put people as like a deck of cards, like they're people with feelings, right? But like, it's a great analogy just to remember, like, you got to be talking to people. It might not be the right time. If I can talk to Erin every single day for a whole month and she's just still not ready, guess what? I'm going to have somebody else ready to go after her. And the next month, I'm going to need somebody new. And maybe that's Erin's month where she's going to come in and she's going to start crushing it at her time. So you have to understand, like, people have to watch, they have to listen. So be present on your page and share what this business is going to do for you. Share other people's stories. I know that's like a whole ton of things, but it's really just everything and keeping things simple, really, at the end of the day.
I love it. One, I've noticed too, even it's like people that I've talked to, and that's what I've told people. I'm like, I could literally go to my text and it could be blue, 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 blue. And then all of a sudden they're like, yes, I'm ready. And you're like, gosh, but if I would have stopped following up, or I wouldn't have kept, posting about different things that they'd see, then I would have never gotten that other message, right? I would have never gotten that response back because I've pushed through that. So it really is just, it is a numbers game at the end of the day when you're talking to enough people. So that's the other thing that you want to make sure too is, that you're growing your network and you're getting your numbers out. If you're just messaging one person and they're saying no, you're not going to have the results. But if you're increasing those numbers each and every day, that's where you're really going to see it. So let's talk a little bit about loyal customers. What are some of your biggest tips? I know you said as far as like host post, that's obviously huge and different things, but is there anything else that you just find really, like, do you go live often, or do you find success with reels, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so to be honest, like I love reels. I blew up certain things, but then I find that honestly, when I do my not just host to post, but you guys, the host to post is the first step. Okay, if you don't have a system of follow up, you are losing every single person that you are speaking to. Okay, every single one of them. If you do not have a system, I don't even think I have my book by me. I think it's on the living room. What I do is, you have to have conversations with these people and remind them, again, like I said, what is it, 8 to 10 plus exposures before somebody says like, yes. So you need to be the leader of the conversations. You need to be the person that is reaching out to them and seal the deal as quickly as possible. So one thing that I always do is, if I have a host to post up and I have comments there, that next morning, I'm not waiting like a week to check back with them, because by then they're probably like, oh yeah, that's right. Maybe that's not the most important to me that day, because that day they were feeling something where they're like, I need to do this. right? How many times have you guys had things in your Amazon cart or wherever you're like, oh my gosh, I want to get this, but then you thought about it and then eventually you just don't get it, right? Until it comes back to you and it's a new feeling. So same thing with products and trying to get people off the fence is make sure that you are jumping into their inbox that next day. Do not wait. Do not follow up like after 7 days, after a month. Check in with them. Is there any other things that any other questions that I can help answer? Or, hey, did you like that package? Can we talk about other goals? Is there different, better things that we can put together for you? Or is there something, a specific question that you had? Or, hey, can you tell me what's holding you back? I know you wanted to so badly get started on products, but what's holding you back? Like, ask those questions. Be the leader and the navigator of the conversation. Don't let things just go sour. Just keep asking those, not sour, but stale. Just keep asking those questions and get your follow-up list. Every single person that you have a conversation with about a product, you've got to be writing their name down. Put a date when you're going to check back with them. Check back with them regularly. Guess what? If they start ignoring you or the conversation runs silent, ask them to host a post and completely redo the conversation and give them the post of the product that they were interested in. Because then they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, that's how we got connected. That's the post that I saw. That's what I need to go get. And so I can promise you that, especially after you change the conversation to a host post, they're like, oh yeah, can you tell me about this? Oh, I'm sorry, I never responded to you, did I? Like, they'll come around. And so have that system of follow-ups, you guys. I think honestly, at the end of the day, posting on your page and doing your host posts, sharing on your stories, sharing your results, all those things are going to be key factors. But if you're not following up with them, you are losing them. Okay. And I know that sounds crazy. And some people are like, well, what do you like? No, they're not going to come into your inbox. Okay. After 8 years, I'll have some people that are like, hey, I'm ready. Or, hey, I want to try this, but it's going to take some follow-ups. People like to think about things. A lot of people like to think about things. They like to look at things. They like to think about it. Maybe they have to check with their husband. Maybe they read your message, even though they were super excited, but they were busy at work. And so now it's your job to say like, hey, did you see that? And honestly, at the end of the day, it's customer service, right? How many times do you go to a dressing room or like a clothing store and they're knocking on your door? Hey, can I get you a different size? Hey, did you find what you needed? You know, and then you're out browsing. Can I grab those from you? Like, they're trying to get that interaction because that's going to increase their sales. So you need to be doing the same thing in your business.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so let's flip gears just a little bit, because obviously being a mom, and drop a 1 in the chat if you're a mom, or if you know mom, or maybe you have a mom on your team. I'm sure everybody can drop a chat or drop a 1, but talk to us a little bit about, you know, have you ever dealt with like mom guilt? Or, you know, because obviously during these crunch times when we're working for trips, and like we said, we have this window of time where it's like you can be working through that. Have you ever felt mom guilt, and how do you overcome that? Because again, sometimes it can be like this stressful, like, oh my gosh, am I doing like too much? But you want to earn the trip at the same time. So hopefully that question makes sense.
No, yeah, for sure. So how, like, I would just ask yourself, like, in order for you to avoid mom guilt, because we've all done that. Like, and it's not even just this business, but maybe you raised your voice, or maybe you didn't play with them as much as you wanted to, or maybe you forgot something, for, you know, whatever that might be. You're always going to have something there. But at the end of the day, for me, is if I involve my kids in everything that I'm doing, then they understand. Okay. So like every time I get a customer, I tell my 2 boys, hey guys, mom got a customer, mom got a customer. Yay, how many can tell your next bonus? Or yay, how many can tell the trip? Like, they are very aware of what I'm doing. And, you know, I'm home with them now. So for me, like, I'm present with them. And the fact that you can put down your phone to go and spend some time with your kids. How many like minutes? I don't know. Mine are, again, 5 and 3. And so really after 10, 15 minutes, their attention span is out the door and they're already going on to the next thing. And so get on the floor with them and do that thing. Like, take care of your family. That's not to say like grind and grind and grind until your fingers fall off. Like, of course I'm doing that too, but they know what I'm doing. It's very intentional. And at the end of the day, I know that I can either be present with them at home and know that I have the freedom to put down my phone and give my attention to my kids, or I'd be gone. Because as a nurse, like, that would have been my reality. Like, I would have been gone and had to send them to daycare and had them, you know, go different places. And so just having that freedom to have the best of both worlds, and, you know, don't always feel guilty for putting, at the end of the day, most of us are doing this for your family, right? So don't feel guilty about working your business for your family. A lot of people always say, like, don't let your why become your why not. Like, don't let those excuses come in and say, well, I can't do this because XYZ, I need the kids and this or whatever. Like, my kids are outside, they're outside playing and running around, they're by the fire right now, and they know mom has to come in, but as soon as we're done, I'm going to go back and spend some more time with them. And so really at the end of the day, like, focus your time, be able to, put yourself out there and tell them exactly what you're doing. On our little Mother's Day, like, the kids have their Mother's Day interviews. My mom is really good at, and my kid will put work. And I'm like, well, I love that, because thank you for recognizing the work that she's really good at her work. But then she also put, my mom's the best at, or he also put, my mom is also the best at playing dinosaurs. My mom was also the best at loving me. So you can do the best of both worlds. And so just know that you're fighting for them. So show them that you're fighting for them instead of hiding behind that and feeling guilty.
Yes, I love it. Well, I even had one too where my youngest, he put on there, when my mom's not playing with me, she works in her office. That's what he put, like, so they know, like, when I come into my office, like, this is my work area, this is my environment, all those kind of things. So it's just so true. So last question, if you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat real quick. But the one question I always end the Zoom with is, if you could go back, because now obviously you've been in 8 years, like I'm coming up on 9 years at the end of July, which is crazy. And so if you could go back and tell yourself one thing that maybe would change, or a piece of advice, what would that be?
It's so interesting because you can ask somebody that same question at different times in their business. It's going to be completely different. When I started, my why is completely different. I didn't see beyond just doing this for a little bit of time. Like, I didn't see this as being my full-time job. I definitely love my job as a nurse and everything. But if I could tell anybody that would speak to the masses, is actually treat your business like a marriage. Okay. And so, here, drop a 2 in the chat if you guys are married or you're in a relationship with somebody. That not every day is going to be perfect. Not every day are you and your spouse, your significant other, going to have a good day or, have the same thoughts or, so look at your business in the same way and just understand that there are going to be ups and downs. There's going to be times where you might fall short of a goal. There's going to be times where your team might fall apart. There might be times where, you were pushing like heck, but the push didn't come and it came the week after when you were trying to meet a goal, so many things. But at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you're putting one foot in front of the other. Don't give up on yourself. Do not give up on your business, and do not quit. No matter what you do, the best thing about this, in a marriage, like, a lot of people will go to counseling and they'll go to figure out those things. In this, pivot, find something that is working. Listen to the people that are surrounding you and do what they're doing. Really do some self-reflection and ask yourself, am I really doing what it takes to be able to get the paycheck that I want? Because I can ask myself, like, okay, when we had different bonuses, like, okay, if I'm going to get this big, huge bonus, am I putting in the effort that I deserve to be able to get that bonus? And if I'm not, then I need to be able to recheck myself, right? Because you're not getting, you're not getting just these bonuses and all these things just for, like, having a cell phone, right? You got to actually do the work. You got to actually do the things that you say you want to do. And so treat this business knowing that there's going to be ups and downs, but you got to show up. You have to show up for your spouse, your family, your kids. You got to show up for all those people. I can't just tell my kids, like, today I can't feed you because I need to go do this. Like, I still have to show up for my kids. And there's still going to be times that no matter what, if I don't want to work my business or if I'm not having the best day, I need to look in the mirror and say, you know what? If I don't do something for my business today, tomorrow's not going to be any better. And so do something each and every single day that your business is going to thank you for to keep you moving in the right direction. Don't work out of your feelings, work out of strategy and just knowing that you are a business owner and you have to show up. And if the only thing you can do is put a post on your wall quick or something in your story, even if it's not talking, you have to do that. You have to show that your business is open, being consistent and making sure that you're going to understand that there's going to be bumps, there's going to be hurdles, but on the other side of the mountain, on the other side, once you get to the climb, and what's that analogy? Like you're climbing the mountain, you slide back down. You're climbing the mountain. It's so much easier to get momentum at the top and know that even if you slide back down just in the slightest, you're still going to have the better tools and better resources to then go back up. So when I'm thinking about my husband, I know now after this many years, what triggers him, what makes our conversations like taking a conversation with better not say that. I know that's going to push a button. So I know next time I'm not going to do that. And so you're going to know, and you're going to be better equipped with tools. The more you go on in your business, just be open to learning and just putting one foot in front of the other and treat it like a marriage. Show up every single day because you have to. Because if you want it, your family matters, what your goals are matters, and you got to keep pushing yourself towards that, because at the end of the day, it's not a matter of if, it's when. You just got to keep going.
I love that. That was so good. Okay. So one other question came through. I'm going to ask real quick and then we'll let you go. What do you do when somebody newer on your team gets discouraged in the business?
I keep going. There's really, guys, I wish there was some secret thing that I could be like, you know what? Oh, like you're discouraged, do this. Actually, it's just action. At the end of the day, it's action. If you're discouraged, like, what are you discouraged about? So I don't know if Kristen, if you can even drop it in the chat too. And like, if you know it's a specific thing, because I've had people start and they're like, oh, I'm not getting the people right away. Or, oh my gosh, like I'm getting no's. You're going to hear no. You're going to, like, again, going back to like the department store analogy, the people that come into the store, well, I'm just browsing, like I don't need any help. And they come in and they go out and they don't buy anything. Do you think that manager is calling up that CEO and saying, listen, we got to shut this down. This isn't working. That girl did not buy today. Like, it just wasn't her day. She's going to come out and the next person's going to come in. So you need to think of your business in the same way. There's going to be people, a revolving door of people that are going to be in the right time, right? So people have to think about things. It needs to be in the right people, the right time. And so doing all the actions and just, again, treating it as a marriage and saying, I'm going to do what it takes to keep going. It's one foot in front of the other and just making sure that you're consistent in everything that you do, and you're going to see results. You're there. It's not even a question. Like, if you need to pivot from what you're doing, if what you're doing specifically isn't working, then find what is, right? So find somebody else that's absolutely killing it and reach out to them and say, hey, listen, what are you doing? I need help. Ask for that guidance, do some self-development to get your mind out of that funk, because sometimes if we put our mind, in those bad places, everything around us just becomes negative. And that's not just business, that's everything, right? And so what can you do to keep your mind here? So find any sort of self-development, something for your newbie to say, like, listen, you got to trust me. Please just give me 90 days. Understand that a business is not a get rich, like all of a sudden overnight. Like, it's going to take time. Every successful person has always put in time. Huge publishers and stuff, they didn't just write that book one time and hit the button, print, and that sent out. They did tons of drafts, tons of edits, tons of peer reading and different things to be able to make it perfect. And so keep going until you figure out your groove, because your groove is coming. Your groove will happen. You just have to make sure that you are taking that action to get to the next point.
Yes, perfection. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your night. I know that there was tons of good nuggets of information and all the things, and just such a bright light. I don't know. I mean, you just, and I think at the end of the day too, it's such good reminders to know that action is the key, to get out of anything. Like if you want to get to the trip, action. If you want to achieve your next goal, action. If you need to get out of your funk, action. Moving your feet forward is going to help you. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. Y'all go shout her out on social media. And I thank you guys for tuning in with us, and we'll see y'all next week. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.